Welcome to this training video for the Policy Assistant as part of your KnowledgeFlow platform. First of all, I'm going to talk you through just some of the functionality of your KnowledgeFlow platform, and also just to give you a bit of a flavour of why this differs from you maybe using ChatGPT, for example, when you're using AI. So you'll probably have landed on a page like this once you've been given a URL. And to access your different assistants, because as part of your package you may have purchased a number of assistants appropriate to FE as part of your KnowledgeFlow platform. So what I'm going to do is just talk you through this first. So depending on which platform you're going to use, which assistant rather, you just select here. So if I want to use my bid writer, you'll notice these little tiles change. If you go to the policy assistant, there we go, that will also change, and this will look slightly different in your system. So just to go through some of the functionality, but first I would just want to mention why this product slightly differs from your ChatGPT type platforms, AI platforms. There's two things really when I'm asked at the colleges, how does this differ? One is it's secure. So when we set the system up, it's built within your Microsoft Azure tenant. So it's secure and maintained by your college, and it's your IT staff who give the permissions out on who can use the system, and nothing leaves your system, and none of the data is trained on, as some of the platforms do, such as ChatGPT. The other unique part of this system is it uses retrieval augmented generative AI. And I'm not going to say that word again and again because it's quite a mouthful, but basically that means when we met with your college, we met with your AI champion and we uploaded all of your policies as part of your policy assistant, for instance. And when you're using this to search or analyse data, it only refers to those documents. So it's not going to go out and look at other colleges, even in the US, for example. It only looks at your documents. So just to give you a quick flavour of some of the functionalities, you have got your chat history here. You can change to dark mode if you require. You can clear your chat history. You've got some quick help functions which you might find useful as you're using the tool. You can scrape data using the URL, so it'll ask you there. You can just pop a website in. That's quite good for the ChatGPT function. If you're producing documents, reports, etc. There's an upload function which you can use if you wanted to say upload the Keeping Children Safe in Education statutory guidance and you wanted to see if that aligned with your safeguarding policy. That's another way of using the system. And you can drag and drop. So I do suggest you go away and have a practice of some of those functions before starting to use the tool for everyday use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in now just to go through some of the use cases for the policy assistant and discuss how other colleges are using it. So basically you can use this tool to quickly search, analyse and generate content from your organisation's policies. It generates relevant content to help you answer questions. So I'll give some examples of that in a moment. Draft new policies, check for compliance or compare regulatory requirements. So I'm just going to go through that just to go through some of the steps and how you can use it. So I'm going to just jump in. And maybe we all work in colleges. Think about some of the inquiries we may get as managers, which this system could actually deal with without having to raise that inquiry up or go to look at all of your policies, for example. This system does that for you. So what I'm going to do is just think of a scenario, and it may be you have a facilities manager who has a staff member who's just asked what their maternity rights are. They're pregnant. So you could say, I have a staff member who is pregnant. What are their maternity rights? Okay, perfect. And then I'll just press or select this arrow button. And what that will do, using your policies, that will provide some guidance on what the key points and steps are. breakdown there, and you'll notice it's got little reference points here. It's sources reference 11 there. So this is a demo tool. So this is looking at some of the documentation we've uploaded as part of the demo tool. Yours will only reference to your relevant policies, and you can view those policies as well. So already you think about the time saved where that person, instead of having to raise it up or go and look through all of these various policies, that's already time saved. What you can do then is, if you wanted to copy that, you can copy it there and you can paste that into a Word document, for instance. You can email directly from the system. You just select that and that will be linked to your Outlook and allow you to send emails straight away, which I'll demonstrate a good use case of that in a moment. You can export to PDF, and you can also export to Word. And if you want to, sometimes where you may think, oh, that response wasn't so good, if you select that, it gives us some feedback where we can go in and have a look and see where we can improve that. And the same for if it's a positive response or a negative response, or poor rather. So coming back to our inquiry, we have the facilities staff member who has been asked by their colleague who's pregnant, what are their maternity rights? So naturally, the next step there will be to email them or have a chat with them about their maternity rights, but probably more appropriately, email. So that what I can ask is, can you please draft an email to, say, Deborah? You can put names in here because it's okay, to explain her maternity rights. And what that will do, again, it's that time saved. That will produce an email that you can send straight to Deborah. As you can see at the bottom, that will also, for Deborah, allow her to see where those policies are, because that will reference that in that email. And again, you don't even need to copy and paste that, you can just email that response. There's quite a few other ways you can use the system, and one of them is in terms of who you are communicating with. So it might be that you want to explain your attendance or behaviour policy to a parent. So you could ask it, can you describe this behaviour policy to the tone appropriate for a parent? And that might be quite useful for when you're writing student reports, for example. Now in this case here, AI sometimes can be a little bit straightforward to the point. I might want to say, can you make this tone a little bit more empathetic? Can you create, an email with a tone that's empathetic? I'm sure you can word that better than I, but there we go. What that should do is produce, there we go. It's a little bit more empathetic in the tone. The other thing we have is we've got over 50 different languages, so you can also draft emails in different languages. If, for instance, parents where English isn't their first language, or staff members, you can also do that as part of the system. So I'm just going to do that here. Can you draft email in French? Generate. There you go. You've got a nice email there in French. Perfect. Okay, so that's one way of using it, where you've been able to look at what the procedure is, but also send out correspondence. So to get back to your home screen, if you just select your assistant that you're using, that will take you back to a fresh page. I want to show you another way of using it in terms of compliance. So you can ask it, can you inform me of which policies, and it's okay with spelling mistakes, and I'm just going to show you that now. I'm not going to correct my spelling there. Are due to expire. There we we go, and it gives you a nice list there and references, great for compliance. Another use case is comparing. So can you compare our behaviour policy with the attendance policy? There you go. So it gives you a bit of scope, purpose, an overview of those policies, and then it gives you some comparison there as well. Okay, that's another use case. You can also ask it to compare to statutory guidance, for example. So you just ask it, can you compare my attendance policy or my safeguarding policy, say, to keeping children safe in education, and then you upload that policy to allow you to compare them. So that's another use case. You can drag and drop that in as well. The other thing that's quite useful is also you can use the tool for any CPD training. So if you want staff to understand your policies better, you can ask it, can you produce a CPD training plan to support understanding of our, let's say, safeguarding policy. Just correct that language, that spelling. There we go. There we go, and it gives you a good starter for 10 there in terms of, what you can use, what resources you could have for the lesson, breaks it down into introduction, even down to timings. That's really useful. And the next thing you can do is, could you create a scenario? Oh, my spelling today, apologies. Scenario to test learning. Now you take your policy. I think back to teaching days, this would be so good for BTECs in terms of different things like that. If you're looking at scenario-based assessments and different things, it's got a nice scenario there for you. And the last thing you can do is, can you produce a multiple choice assessment to test knowledge? Should be able to spell that with KnowledgeFlow. There we go, to test knowledge. And there you go, some nice multiple choice questions there as well. So that was an overview of using your policy assistant. Any questions, please do get in touch. That is my email there if you need to email me, and you will have a feedback form at the top as well. But please do get in touch. Any feedback appreciated, and I hope you enjoy using your policy assistant. Thank you.